To my great regret, long years of happy married life are no guarantee that you will not be cheated on. You can live 50 years with your spouse, and then it turns out that you do not know each other at all. Gentlemen, this story is about a man who lived many years, as it seemed to him, in a happy marriage. But then he meets a stranger who tells him the truth, which shocks him. Let's hear this story. Sitting in my seat on the plane heading home, I looked out the window, watching the plane soar into the sky. It's been 3 decades since I last returned home, but now I'm finally coming back for good. This decision was made not only for my own sake, but also for the sake of my wife, Lisa. I reached into my pocket and took out a Zippo lighter, which has been a constant companion throughout my absence. It was a gift from Lisa, on which the words were engraved, "To my beloved husband, Alan, congratulations, Marine." Yes, it's me, Alan Roberts, known as Machine Gun Sergeant Alan Roberts, or Rob the Machine Gunner to those who have earned my trust over the years. After today, a new nickname will appear in my repertoire: Pensioner. My military uniform, which I proudly wore for over 30 years, now hangs decorated with ribbons and badges that only matter to me. I spent 10 years of those years in reserve, where I accumulated experiences and memories that shaped me the way I am today. When I first met Lisa many years ago, I was already in great physical shape thanks to my military service. Our chance meeting on the side of the road after a long day working as a mechanic at a bustling car dealership in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, marked the beginning of a wonderful journey together. When I was driving home, I noticed her car stopped on the side of the road. The hood was up and steam was coming out of the engine. Without hesitation, I stopped to offer my help. It didn't hurt that she was attractive. At first glance, I identified the problem. The fan belt was torn. I quickly rushed to the nearest auto parts store to buy a belt and coolant. In the shortest possible time, I returned her car to working capacity. I tried my best to get back to Spokane, and I didn't think I'd ever get there. "Is there any way I can thank you for your help?" I asked. "Just get home safely," I replied. "No, please let me thank you," she begged. "How about we treat you to dinner? Do you like Red Lobster?" I hesitated for a moment before replying, "I love Red Lobster." She smiled and quickly wrote down her name and number on a piece of paper. "All right," she said. "How about Friday at 7 in the evening?" "That sounds great," I replied. We first met on Friday night and have been inseparable ever since. After 8 months of our relationship, I proposed, and at 19 we tied the knot. Since then, I have become a male guardian. Even though my wife had to travel the distance after moving to my house in northern Idaho, she didn't mind. She worked as a teacher at an elementary school in the Spokane Valley, located right across the state line. We considered buying a house closer to her place of work, but I was tied to my current home. I was particularly attracted to the fact that the house was empty and located on 5 acres of wooded land off Highway 95, north of Coeur d'Alene. The house was built by my parents many years ago, and they gave it to me in their will, along with a generous inheritance. I hoped that one of my children would eventually get this estate. Lisa understood that because of my service in the reserve, I had to go away for weekends every month and for 2 weeks a year for training. Despite this, she never made claims and often transferred modest checks to my IRA account. Shortly after the wedding, our first child, Renee, was born. In the 90s, during Saddam Hussein's invasion of Kuwait, my unit was called up for active service. Upon our return a year later, we were warmly welcomed, and soon after that our son Carl was born. The events of September 11th brought new changes to our lives, as I was given the chance to return to active duty, and I agreed. From that moment on, we began to move from Camp Pendleton, California. With teaching certificates in both states, Lisa could always find a job wherever we moved. In total, I spent 6 years on 3 business trips in Iraq and 3 in Afghanistan, as well as in Okinawa. Despite moving frequently, Lisa and the children always returned to their home in Idaho, where she continued to work at a school in Spokane Valley. I admit how hard it was for my family, and I understand how it strained Lisa and the children, although she never complained. After missing 10 anniversaries, 10 birthdays, and another Christmas away from my family, I promised my wife that this tour would be my last. At the age of 56, I finally felt that running through the scorching desert, dodging bullets, is a game for young men. It's time to go home. Despite the fact that I have served for more than 30 years, I should have retired at a higher rank. In many ways, I was a typical Marine, true to my duty and not chasing wild women. I enjoyed drinking with my coworkers, but my commitment to the principle of always being faithful often got me into trouble. I defended my comrades using my physical strength and willingness to fight, as a result of which I lost 2 promotions. Despite these setbacks, I have never complained or complained. I liked the role of the machine gun sergeant, known as Gunny, because it was to him that I turned for advice and tactics. I was proud to take care of my Marines. Both officers and enlisted men respected me for my leadership, which meant more to me than any awards and insignia. I fondly remember my retirement party, where we shared nautical stories and salty anecdotes. Lieutenant Colonel Reston, the commander of our battalion, came to wish me all the best. Despite the fact that he was one of those officers who punished me many years ago, I did not hold a grudge against him, and we became good friends. He handed me a certificate of service and shook my hand. "The Corps won't be the same without you, Alan," he said, smiling. I smiled back and replied, "Thank you for saying that, Colonel, but I think he's in good hands." Lance Corporal Dawson, a big soldier from Georgia, came up with his friends and handed me a package wrapped in brown paper. I carefully unwrapped the paper, and a grin spread across my face when I saw the contents inside. Inside was a beautifully hand-carved wooden hand with an outstretched middle finger. She reminded me of the countless times I had playfully put my hand on someone's arm, a habit that was well known among my fellow Marines. To my relief, even the officers understood my playful nature and never took offense. Turning the wooden hand over, I noticed that the carver had carefully engraved the Marine Corps emblem and the name of our unit on the back of the hand. He grinned and nodded in agreement. "Of course, Alan," he replied, beaming with pride. "You did a fantastic job," he praised. "I will always cherish this moment. Thank you." We shook hands, and the rest of the Marines clapped happily around us. I turned to Staff Sergeant Joel Henson, the company's new machine gunner. "Take care of these Marines," I said as we shook hands. "Absolutely, Alan. I promise," he assured. He replied with a smile. "Okay. Because if you don't, I'll come back and kick your ass," I said, grinning. This caused another round of laughter and applause. Captain Reston, our company commander, praised Hansen as a good guy and admitted that no one could replace me. "Take care of yourself, Alan. It was an honor to serve with you," he said. We shook hands and said goodbye, after which the driver came up to me. When I felt the plane descending, my consciousness returned to the present. Looking out the window, I saw the city of Spokane, Washington below. The river, waterfall, riverfront park, and the iconic Expo 74 pavilion were in full view. I remembered taking Lisa and the children there to soak up the summer sun. After landing, I packed my things, a sea bag and clothes, and headed for the exit. I was looking forward to meeting Lisa. I have already sent her an email and a message with my flight details so that she can pick me up on time. She usually arrived a few hours earlier if my flight landed ahead of schedule. But when I arrived at the airport, she was nowhere to be found. Feeling anxious, I texted her again, asking where she was. When I got no answer, I tried to call her on her cell phone, but the call immediately went to voicemail. Increasingly worried, I called her home phone, but there was an answering machine. "God, please keep her safe," I whispered to myself, hoping for the best. I called her parents, who informed me that they had not contacted her either. "Do you want us to come get you?" her mother asked. "Not yet," I replied. "She may get stuck in traffic. I'll wait a bit and get in touch with her if I don't find another traveling companion. There is no need for you to come here and then to Athol, but if you hear about her, please tell her to call me." "I will, Alan," she assured me before hanging up. I didn't have time to think about the situation when a man's voice interrupted me. "Do you need a ride?" Glancing to the side, I noticed a tall, muscular man in khaki clothes packing a suitcase into a white SUV. "I thought my wife had already arrived," I said. "Where are you going?" he asked. "I'm heading to Idaho between Athol and Bayview near Highway 95, I replied. "Don't worry," he reassured me. "I'm going in the same direction. I'll be glad to give you a ride." Feeling a mixture of surprise and gratitude, I thought, why not? "Thank you," I expressed my gratitude. "Please let me at least cover your gas expenses." He shook his head and reassured me. "Don't worry about it. The company's credit card will take care of this. Feel free to download it." I threw my sea bag and a duffel bag with clothes into the Jeep and then climbed inside. "Home on vacation?" he asked, getting into the car. "Home for good," I replied. 30 days after the end of my vacation, I will officially retire after 30 years, which seems like a very long time, I said. "By the way, my name is John Sykes," he added, extending his hand for a handshake. "I'm Alan Roberts," I replied, returning the handshake. "Where are you from?" he asked. "Our unit has just returned from Afghanistan and flew in from Camp Lejeune," I informed him. "So, you've had a pretty long day," he remarked. "I couldn't agree more," I replied, taking out my phone to send Lisa a quick message. "I got a ride, everything is fine, I have returned home." "What's on your agenda?" he asked as we pulled into the driveway. "Nothing special," I replied. "Just a little fishing, hunting, and maybe some time with my wife," I joked. He chuckled, understanding my mood. "I understand," he said. "I spent 25 years in the Army and retired with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Retirement is not as great as people think, believe me." "What are you doing now?" I asked. "I run a men's camp in northern Idaho," he replied. "Really?" I asked. "I've lived in Idaho all my life and I've never heard of a men's camp before." "It's been around for about 10 years, he explained. "I don't think you've heard of it, don't be offended. We specifically placed it in Idaho so that it would be hidden from prying eyes." "What kind of camp is this?" "This is a camp designed to help men overcome difficult personal circumstances," he explained. "Oh," I replied, intrigued. "What situations are you considering?" "Well," he began, "imagine a scenario in which a soldier or Marine receives news of his spouse's infidelity. Having combat experience, you understand the devastation this can cause." "I understand," I nodded in understanding. "I said it too easily," he replied. "We help men cope with such problems. The main difference is that most of them do not have the same military training as we do. Many of those who visit my camp are afraid even of their own shadow." "Wow," I exclaimed. "And how do you support them?" "We are focusing on their physical strengthening," he explained. "Then we deal with their mental and emotional state and offer as much legal assistance as possible. They are trained to deal with any difficulties they may encounter." "It looks like a tough program," I commented. "How long have they been in your camp?" "The standard course is 3 months," he replied. "This is a rigorous course, similar to the training of recruits." "Impressive," I said. "Have you ever been a drill instructor?" he asked. "Yes," I confirmed. "I served on Parris Island, South Carolina. I joined the camp as a sergeant and rose to the rank of senior sergeant until the end of my service." "So, you are familiar with our methods," he remarked. Intrigued by his words, I longed to see the camp with my own eyes. "I have received permission to hire a new senior instructor who will lead the group, accept new students, and monitor the implementation of the curriculum. Are you interested?" he asked. "I must admit that I am," I replied. "It seems that our meeting was not accidental." He chuckled. "You have a sharp eye, Alan," he remarked. "I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You are too noble for that. The company has had its eye on you for a long time." "Follow me?" I asked. "Why follow me?" "Well, first of all, you're a hometown hero, a veteran with a modest past except for a couple of bar fights, he replied, smiling. Silver Star, Bronze Star, Merit Award. With 4 Purple Hearts, a combatant ribbon, 2 achievement medals, a meritorious service medal, a Marine Corps medal, and a good conduct medal, you are exactly the candidate our program is looking for. Alan, despite the occasional run-ins at the bar, you have the experience and dedication that our students can use. When I expressed concern about your company's interest in me, you assured me that they were waiting for me to apply for retirement. This position is ideal for an employee with your qualifications. The salary and benefits exceed those you are used to, and you will work directly under my supervision. Intriguing, I said. But there is a catch in your statement. I agreed with a nod. You're right, I confirmed, handing me an envelope from Manila from the next chair. There is one obstacle that you must overcome before moving on. Take a look. I opened the folder and found a carefully prepared report inside. My heart skipped a beat when I read the report detailing the activities of my wife, Lisa Roberts, and Elroy McEnroe, the principal of the school where she worked. The report showed that they had been in an intimate relationship for more than 20 years, often meeting when I was not at home. I experienced a mixture of shock and betrayal when I watched the DVD enclosed in the envelope. I asked, unable to comprehend the situation. John simply replied, I'm not going to insult your intelligence, Alan. As soon as I expressed interest in hiring you for this position, the company decided to conduct a thorough review. For obvious reasons, this included exploring your family life, which you didn't know about. I was surprised by this discovery, and you confirmed that you didn't know anything about it. Curious, I asked how they had been able to establish that this investigation had been conducted for 25 years. In response, I heard that the investigators working for the company are highly qualified and equipped with the latest surveillance technologies. They have a talent for discovering everything that is hidden. They came to this conclusion after overhearing conversations between your wife and Mr. McEnroe. It seems that your wife has been hiding something from you for years, which explains her frequent visits when you were not at home. It also means that she has spent half of the last 2 decades with Elroy. The realization of this struck me. What about our children? I asked anxiously. He assured me that the children are safe from all this. I asked, how do you know that? He replied, our investigators are first-class specialists. They took DNA samples from your children and compared them with DNA from your military record. Everything coincided. I had a suspicion that she wouldn't show up at the airport to meet me, I said. He confirmed it. That's right. According to our investigators, they often meet after school. Once a week, she brings him to your house for a meeting and then takes him back to pick up the car and go home. This schedule has been followed since your absence. They were supposed to go to your place tonight. Damn it, I muttered. It's a long distance in both directions just to get laid. I asked how she could do that, to which John just shrugged and remarked, it happens. Long business trips, time away from home and family. Returning from the war can lead to changes that are not immediately noticeable, and that can strain even the strongest marriage. The question arises, how will you deal with these changes? If that's the case, then I have no choice but to divorce her, I said. John nodded approvingly in agreement. What about him? He mused aloud. It's a difficult choice. I want to take drastic measures, but I can't risk going to jail. We'll have to come up with a plan. I reassured myself that all the necessary details were listed in the report. John said that Elroy is married and has 2 children, but his wife does not know about his affair with Lisa. I asked him to confirm the authenticity of this information, to which he nodded and assured me that it was true. He expressed regret for his action, admitting that I did not deserve to be in the center of events. When I asked who deserved such deception, John simply replied, well said. When we arrived at my house, John turned left onto a narrow paved road. After driving a little bit, we drove up to my entrance and turned into it. You live pretty secluded here, John commented as he drove down the driveway and parked in front of my house. You have a good place, he added. Thank you, I replied. My parents built this house themselves. I was hoping to spend my old age here with Lisa, but it looks like it's going to be just me now. John turned to me and said, "Alan, listen," holding out a business card in my direction. "Call me when you can and join us at the camp. We can discuss this in more detail if you're interested. There are counselors there who will support you if necessary. I will introduce you to the team, take you around the territory, and tell you about our work. This experience will help you make a decision. Feel free to put on a uniform if you want. I am ready to give you this opportunity, but make sure that you handle it," he stressed, gesturing at the manila envelope. I nodded in agreement and expressed my gratitude to John for the trip, the offer, and everything else. I assured him that I would take care of it and promised to stay in touch. We shook hands, after which I got out of the SUV, taking with me a sea bag and a bag of clothes. While John was driving away, I went to the front door. Inside, I laid out my things in the bedroom and was amazed at how neat everything was. John's words were still ringing in my ears, and I couldn't shake the feeling of disbelief. While tidying up the house, I couldn't help but think about Lisa's behavior. Despite her questionable actions, her house has always been spotless. After putting everything in its place, I changed into my work suit, comfortable jeans and a t-shirt. Picking up the folder, I headed downstairs to view the report. I took out the DVD, put it in the player, and turned on the TV. A scene with Lisa and Elroy in a motel-like room appeared on the screen. Elroy's question hung in the air. "When are you going to break up with him?" "I don't know for sure, probably only when he retires," she replied. Elroy assumed, "If you play your cards right, you can get half of his retirement checks, most of his savings, and $401,000. That was her intention. Fortunately, we had a prenuptial agreement that she signed when we first got married. Her father had prepared a form for her before he died, and all she had to do was add her husband's name to it. I was most concerned about the house and the inheritance they left her. After listening to enough, I picked up the phone book. It was not too late to take action. The next morning, I made an appointment with the family lawyer and packed up some of her things, putting them by the door. I thought, if she wants to leave, I'll let her go. Then I spent some time on the couch, remembering my relationship with Lisa. As far as I knew, everything was fine between us. Although we faced the usual problems that arise in marriage, we always managed to solve them. I never imagined that if she would cheat, it would only be with someone much bigger than me. I never would have thought that she would choose a marshmallow man as her partner. This thought made me laugh out loud. Despite the fact that we have been together for many years, I had no idea that our closeness was causing her discomfort. She never told me about it. I was amazed at how she managed to stay in shape, even after having children. On my way to my office, I found an untouched roll of duct tape on a shelf in the closet where my indoor tools were stored. When I was looking at 2 rolls in a package, a sudden idea struck me. Grabbing the tape and ties, I securely closed the closet and then headed for the gun cabinet. After carefully checking that the .45 caliber pistol was not loaded, I returned to the dining room. Having laid everything out on the table, I quickly made a sandwich, took a beer, and sat down to wait for their arrival. The sky was already darkening when I heard the sound of a car pulling up to the garage. A few minutes later, I heard laughter and conversations when Lisa opened the door. It was only when they entered the main part of the house that they noticed me sitting at the table. Lisa's eyes widened in surprise at the sight of me. "Alan, when did you arrive?" she exclaimed. "Haven't you seen my emails and messages?" I asked. "Sorry, my phone is dead," she replied. "It's not what it seems, Alan, trust me." "Really? Wait, so you're saying that you and Elroy aren't going to have a good time in our bed?" I gestured at him and pulled out my gun. He froze, his eyes widened, and his face paled even more. There were no bullets in the pistol. The magazine didn't even fit in the pistol grip, but they didn't know that. "Oh God, please don't do this," he pleaded. I couldn't help but notice a wet spot in the crotch of his trousers, and a smile played on my face. This coward wet himself. "Shut your mouth, asshole," I snapped. Do you really believe that you can have intimate relations with someone else's wife for 2 decades without consequences? I doubt it very much. I gestured to a nearby tree. Stand over there, I ordered. Back to the tree, hands behind your back. I turned to Lisa. Tie him up, I ordered. Leave only the eyes and nose. Act quickly. She grabbed the duct tape and started tying him up, working fast. Hurry up! She raced around the tree, unwinding the ribbon as she ran. When the first skein was over, I tossed her the next one and told her to continue. When she finished, Elroy was securely wrapped in duct tape, with only his eyes and nose peeking out. He looked around uneasily. Walking up to him, I immobilized him and, closing my eyes, grinned, reaching for the phone. I dialed his home number, which I took from John's report. This is Judy, the McEnroe house, a female voice replied. Hello, Mrs. McEnroe, my name is Alan Roberts, I said. Is Elroy free? No, he's at a meeting with the teachers of his school, she replied. Can I give him a message so he can call you back? That's not necessary, Mrs. McEnroe, but thank you, I said. I apologize for the deception. I have to tell you the truth. Your husband is currently in my house with my wife. I think it's necessary that you come and get him, I said, noticing how Elroy's eyes widened under the film. Why is he with your wife in your house? Asked Judy, clearly taken aback. Well, they had intentions of having an intimate relationship, but circumstances have changed, I explained. Judy exclaimed in disbelief. Are you sure about this? Is this some kind of ridiculous prank? No, ma'am, I confirmed. For more than 2 decades, they were in a secret affair. That scoundrel, she exclaimed angrily. I'll teach him a lesson. Disappointed, she vowed to meet him face to face. Where are you? She asked. I'm in Idaho, east of Athol on Highway 95, I replied. I'll send you the address. She thanked me. I'll be there soon, she promised. After finishing the conversation, I quickly sent her instructions on how to get to my house and turned to Elroy. Even more scared than before, I informed him that I needed to talk to my wife. I invited Lisa to enter the house, and she obediently followed me. Once inside, I told her to sit on the couch and handed her the remote control for the TV and DVD player. I asked, interrupting her before she could answer. This has been happening for quite some time, she muttered. How long ago? I asked. What, a month? A year? A decade? 2 decades? More? More, she replied, looking away. More, I repeated. I understand. When did it start? Around 95, she replied. We worked together for many years, but we never did anything while you were at home. It wasn't until you left that we started dating. Even at the time when I was sent abroad? I asked. She nodded, confirming my suspicions. I'm sorry, she said. I never meant to hurt you. You shouldn't have found out about this. I couldn't believe it. While I was risking my life fighting terrorists and getting injured, were you having fun with someone else in our bed? Tears streamed down her face. Stop pouring water, I urged. Answer the question. She wiped her eyes and nodded. Yes, she whispered. Please, let's move forward. Can't you forgive me? Give me a chance to fix it. I raised an eyebrow. Fix it? I giggled mockingly. Are you serious? Do you want me to ignore your betrayal? I demanded. Give me one reason why I shouldn't end this right now. I don't give a damn about it, she said. I don't want to get divorced. After overhearing her conversation with Elroy, I immediately realized that she was lying. It's too late for such games, I replied. I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. She looked at me defiantly. You don't have to do this, she warned. Elroy mentioned that I can take half of your pension, the house, and everything else if you try to divorce me. I grinned and confidently presented the prenuptial agreement. There is one important question, I said. Do you remember signing a prenuptial agreement all these years ago? So the surprise is that it is still valid and absolutely mandatory. If I get my way, you won't get anything. Remember, the house belongs only to me, according to my parents' will. And the consequences of infidelity are clearly spelled out in the marriage contract. Rest assured, I will strictly adhere to it. You will receive 40% of all our savings, but no alimony. In addition, I will keep all my retirement savings. I'm ready to discuss this with you." She said she guessed I was going to say something like that when I pointed the remote at the TV. Clicking on the play button, a video of her having fun with Elroy appeared on the screen. Her face turned white, and she covered her mouth with her hand in shock. "Oh my God!" she gasped. "How did you get this? Please turn it off." I shook my head and replied, "It doesn't matter how I got it. It's important what your school board does when it receives this copy." She was looking at me with a shocked expression on her face. "I'm going to lose my job," she exclaimed with obvious concern in her voice. "And Elroy, too. Please don't do this." I asked, "So will you sign the papers when you receive them?" Resigned, she nodded in the affirmative. Turning up the volume of the video, I moved on to the moment when she mentioned that I was too big for her. "Could you clarify this for me?" I asked. "In all these years that we've been together, you've never talked about this before. Why didn't you say anything?" I asked. "I didn't want to upset you," she replied. "I haven't been feeling well lately. I liked it at first and you always turned me on, but over time it started to hurt me." "Is that why you started avoiding intimacy with me?" I asked. She nodded. "Yes," she admitted. "I'm really sorry." "You always say that," I replied, taking the keys out of her purse. I took the house keys out of her purse and then the purse. I put away her ATM and shared credit card, but noticed her STCU card and decided to leave it in my wallet. Knowing that she has an account with the Spokane Teachers Credit Union and regularly contributes 10% of her salary there, I thought she could use this account if she needed money. I casually threw her purse on the couch when she quietly said that it was probably time for her to pack up and leave. "Not now," I reassured her. "You still have some things to clarify. You must inform your parents and our children about your actions so that they understand the reason for our divorce," I insisted. "Please, I can't do this," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "Why not?" I asked. "You've been betraying me meekly for 20 years. Of course you are not ashamed of your actions." "They will despise me, I just know it," she sobbed. "I'm sorry," I replied, and reached for the phone. I was on the verge of dialing her parents' number. Looking out into the street, I noticed the flicker of headlights. A car pulled up to the entrance. Assuming that Judy had come to pick up her husband, I prepared to discuss the situation with her. A minute later, there was a knock on the door, forcing me to open it and find myself face to face with a plump, youthful woman who seemed to be staring at me intently. Despite her good looks and immaculately fitting ripped jeans, I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable under her gaze. "Are you Alan Roberts?" she asked, looking down at my crotch. "Yes, and you must be Judy McEnroe," I replied. "At the moment, yes," she said. "Please come in," I said, opening the door. "So where is this disgusting piece of shit hiding?" "What exactly?" she asked. I couldn't help but smile at her bravery. "He's a little tied up right now," I replied. "He's not going anywhere, I assure you." Judy blushed with anger as she met Lisa's gaze. "So it's you!" she hissed, her face flushed with anger. "I'm having a good time with my future ex-husband." Her eyes widened in recognition. "Oh my God, it's you! Liza, I should have guessed!" Lisa begged, but Judy interrupted her. "Shut up, you damn bitch! Stop it!" she screamed. "I have to teach you a lesson before next week. How could you do that?" "Are you married to a handsome man and having an affair with my husband?" Judy paused, giving me a puzzled look. "Where is this despicable man?" she asked. "I'll show you," I replied. "Wait a minute." I went to my office and took out the necessary things from the closet. A box cutter, a bottle of alcohol, and a clean rag that used to be a t-shirt. Back in the front room, I invited Judy to join me, and we went outside. I gestured at the tree where Elroy was tied up. Judy couldn't help but laugh when she saw him wrapped in duct tape. Elroy didn't seem thrilled to meet his wife. There was fear in his eyes. "I admire your unique approach, Alan," she remarked. "It's not going to be easy to take it all off." I shook my head, putting my fork and rag on the ground. "No, it won't take long," I assured her. She raised her hand to stop me. Wait a minute, she said, walking up to him and meeting his gaze. You're a complete jerk, she said, taking off her rings and throwing them on the ground. You haven't even touched me in months, and now I understand why. Realizing that it was not worth joking with, I took out a box cutter and cut the film. Stepping back, I watched as Lisa let go of Elroy's leash, and he fell to the ground in pain. Okay, get up, I ordered him. Come inside, Judy called, watching Elroy run into the house excitedly. I've had the most fun with him in recent years, she added, turning to me. Please, haven't you caused enough trouble? Begged Lisa. No, was the firm answer. Call your mom and put her on speakerphone. Lisa immediately dialed her parents' number. Hi, Mom, she greeted her mom when she picked up the phone. Mom, it's me, Lisa, she exclaimed. Lisa, Mom replied, recognizing her voice. What happened? Lisa started crying. Mom, Alan is kicking me out of the house. Why is he doing this? The mother asked. He found out that I cheated on him, Lisa replied through sobs. What did you do? The mother asked, clearly angry. You're a stupid girl. How could you do this to your husband? I thought I raised you better. What the hell is wrong with you? I don't blame him for kicking you out. Mom, can I stay with you for a while? Lisa asked. I think so, but not for long, and no men, the mother replied sternly. Thank you, Mom, Lisa replied. Is Alan with you? The mother asked. I'm here, Mom, I replied. I always felt close to Lisa's parents and started calling them Mom and Dad after we got married. Are you all right, son? Her mom asked. Everything will be fine, Mom, I assured her. It's going to be difficult, but you can do it, Lisa's mom apologized to Alan. You've always been kind to her. I can't understand what was going on in her head. Please keep in touch with us. I will, Mom. Thank you, I replied before their conversation ended. I looked at Lisa and told her, you need to make 2 more calls, so let's do it. Please, I can't do this, Lisa cried. Why not? I asked. Lisa anxiously reached for the phone and her hands trembled as she dialed Carl's son's number. When he answered, she took a deep breath and said, Hi, Carl, it's Mom. There was concern in his voice immediately. Lisa hesitated for a moment before breaking the terrifying news. No, we're not okay. Your father and I are getting a divorce. Carl's shocked response was full of disbelief. What? This can't be true. What happened? Did Dad cheat on you or something like that? The son asked. No, son. I cheated on your dad, and he found out about it, Lisa confessed. Mom, how could you? The son asked. Is Dad there? He asked. I'm here, son, I said. Before you ask, I'm fine. It just seemed to me that you needed to hear the truth. Your mother has been doing this for over 20 years. I only found out about it today. Oh my God, Dad, the son exclaimed. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry, Carl, she said. Yes, it's a pity that you got caught, he replied. Mom, I can't believe you did this to Dad, he exclaimed before abruptly ending the conversation. I have to go, we'll talk later. Goodbye. When he hung up, Lisa collapsed on the couch in tears. One more call, I suggested. Lisa, with red and swollen eyes, pleaded, Please, no more. One more, I insisted. Lisa shuddered as she dialed her daughter's number. The conversation went along the same lines as the previous ones, but this time Renee was more upset than Carl. You're an idiot, she exclaimed when Lisa explained the situation. I hope Dad will kick you out. It is, Lisa replied. How could you be so stupid? Renee asked. You're not acting like my mother. I don't even know who you are right now. You need to pull yourself together. If you don't rewrite this text, you'll never see your grandchildren. Please don't contact me anymore. Goodbye. Renee ended the conversation, causing Lisa to sob uncontrollably. Do you understand the consequences of your actions now? I asked. Your selfishness has destroyed 2 families. I hope you're happy. While I was talking, Lisa wiped away her tears and confessed, I know I made a mistake. Now everyone hates me. I believe in the concept of what you sow, you reap, I said firmly. It's time for you to leave. I've packed your toiletries and some things. You can pick up the rest later. Lisa nodded and went upstairs to get the suitcase and overnight bag that I had prepared. On her way back downstairs, Judy intercepted her at the door. "Wait a minute," she said. "Did I understand your husband correctly?" "Have you been happy with my husband for over 20 years?" asked Judy, looking down shyly. "Yes," she replied softly. "In that case, I suppose you won't mind if I take your husband away from you," she said. "I haven't been with a real man for a long time, and it seems your husband is quite suitable for this." Judy turned to me. "What do you think? Are you ready to repay the debt?" Lisa let go of the suitcase and turned to face us, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You wouldn't do that to me, would you?" she asked. "Please tell me you won't do that." "I can't promise that," I replied. "This is the best offer I've had in a while. Why should cheaters have all the fun?" Judy laughed. "I don't think I have anything to complain about," Lisa sighed. Taking Elroy by the collar, she stared at him intently before issuing a warning. "Don't enter the house. I don't care where you stay. Either stay in the car or get a motel room. I never want to get in your way again, asshole. I'm going to see a lawyer tomorrow." Elroy nodded in agreement. "Got it," he muttered, and headed for the door. Lisa looked at me apologetically. "I'm really sorry, Alan," she said, "for everything." After saying these words, she turned around and left the house, leaving me behind, leaving my life. We stood in silence and watched Lisa drive away down the driveway onto the main road. I felt a tear form in my eyes and quickly brushed it away before Judy turned to me and asked, "Are you okay?" "Yes, it's just something got in my eye," I replied with a forced smile. Judy giggled softly, exclaiming in her own defense, "Bullshit!" I couldn't help but laugh at her directness. "Tell me, how can you just walk away from a 30-year marriage?" "I asked," I began. "Open yourself up to new opportunities," she replied. I nodded in understanding. "You really didn't know about any of this, did you?" she asked. I shook my head and confessed, "No, I just found out today. She was doing this while I was on a business trip." Curious, I asked, "What about you? Did you know what he was doing?" "I suspected," she admitted. "I could smell her perfume on him and his clothes. I've never seen him in action. I accepted the situation and prayed that he would come to his senses." "What's your plan?" I asked. "I'm not sure," she replied with a sigh. "I've always been a housewife and a mother. That's all I've ever wanted to do. My mother instilled in me traditional values, believing that the main role of a woman is in the house. I got married right after graduating from high school and never worked. My only goal was to please my husband. I was determined to raise my children so that they would reach their full potential. "I'll find a way to make it work," I assured her. I knew she would have the strength to overcome any difficulties she faced. "Do you still believe in love?" I asked. She giggled in response. "Would you like to stay with us for the night?" I suggested. "Do you mind?" she asked. "It would be great if you were around," I admitted. "I don't think I mind either," she replied. We had a passionate moment that night. When we were getting ready for bed, I asked her, "Why did you decide to stay with him for so long?" Surprisingly, she replied, "I loved him once. In the beginning, he was a good man, always took care of me and the children." Then I said, "You loved him, didn't you?" She nodded. "Yes, you did. Some part of me will always love him, but I refuse to put up with his infidelity." "I feel the same way," I agreed. "In my opinion, my marriage has come to an end. Despite my obligations, as soon as she broke our vows, it was the end for me. Now I'm thinking, what's going to happen next?" "Do you mean us?" "What exactly?" she asked. I nodded in the affirmative. "Yes," I replied. I've never been a fan of casual hookups, and I'm too old to start dating again. "So you're saying that you have feelings for me and you want to keep dating?" she asked. "Probably, yes," I admitted. "To begin with, I like you too, Alan Roberts. she began. "If you agree, I'd like to see what happens." "I feel the same way," I replied. She grinned. "Great," she said. The next morning, she greeted me with a smile. "Good morning, my love. Would you like to have breakfast?" "With pleasure," I replied. "Fine," she said. "I've already made coffee." "What are your plans for the day?" she asked. "I have a meeting with my lawyer this morning, and then I need to discuss some work issues," I replied. "And you?" I asked. "I'll go home after breakfast, and then I'll make an appointment with a lawyer," she replied. "See you downstairs," she added before leaving. After finishing my morning chores and taking a shower, I decided to put on my uniform. I got dressed, rechecked everything, and went downstairs. Judy's eyes widened at the sight of me. "Are you in the army or something?" she asked. "In the Marines," I replied. "But only for another month or so. I have a vacation until retirement." She looked at the ribbons and badges on my chest. "What is all this for?" she asked. "Different things," I explained. "This one, for example, means that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and more than once, actually." Looking at the ribbon with the purple heart and 3 stars, she exclaimed, "My God, were you injured in battle?" I nodded, saying, "Yes, 4 times." Surprised, she asked, "Where have you been?" I replied, "A desert storm in the 90s, then 3 business trips to Iraq and 3 more to Afghanistan." Curious, she asked, "How long did you serve in the army?" "I served in the army for a little over 30 years, I replied. "I spent part of that time in the reserve, but most of it on active duty." "So your wife had an affair with my husband while you were serving in the war?" she asked. "And was he aware of your situation?" "Yes," I confirmed. She expressed her disbelief by shaking her head. "What a terrible guy," she muttered. "He will answer for his actions." After finishing breakfast, we left the house. When she returned home, she asked me to contact her, and I assured her that I would do so. The meeting with the lawyer was successful, as he carefully examined my evidence, including the prenuptial agreement and the financial documents provided by me. It was obvious that she earned significantly more than me while on active duty. "I think it's unlikely," he said. "Based on the financial information and your prenuptial agreement, I believe that the request for alimony can be refused, especially considering her annual salary of $68,000. With this money, she can lead a comfortable lifestyle in Spokane Valley. It is important to note that the house and real estate originally belonged to you, and the marriage contract states that the pension will not be affected, but the bank account will have to be divided. It is unlikely that the judge will make a different decision. We will insist on receiving 40%, as specified in the contract. When do you want to apply?" "As soon as possible," I replied. "Good," he said. "Delivering goods to Washington may require additional efforts, but we are used to it. I will prepare and submit the necessary documents. If everything goes smoothly, we can arrange everything early next week. All I need from you at the moment is the filing fee and my fee, which you can pay to the secretary before you leave," he said, handing me the document. "Here is a list of steps you should take to protect your interests," he continued. "I hope your wife hasn't gone to the bank yet." I have studied the list carefully. Before I went home, I had to go to the bank. The rest of the tasks could be completed online. "Any questions?" he asked. I shook my head. "Not at the moment," I replied. He handed me the card and shook my hand. "Feel free to call if you need anything," he said, "and good luck." When I left, I paid the filing fee and prepayment at the exit and hit the road. After getting into the car, I called John and informed him that I had just finished a meeting with a lawyer. I informed him that I needed to stop by the bank to settle some business before discussing the job he was talking about. "I'll be here, Alan," he replied. "I'm looking forward to our conversation." After our conversation, he sent me a message with instructions on how to get to the campsite. At the bank, I discovered that Lisa did not have access to the account, so I withdrew 60% of the funds and opened a new account exclusively in my name. I canceled the shared credit cards and paid off the remaining balance. In addition, I asked to replace my ATM card and credit card for personal use. After these actions, I went on a trip to a camping site located a short distance northeast of my house. Despite the long journey, this day provided an opportunity for introspection. In just one day, my life changed dramatically. From a contented married man looking forward to retiring with his wife, I turned into a man who had been deceived and betrayed for more than 2 decades. For 6 years, I have been in a war zone, facing life-threatening situations on a daily basis. It dawned on me that I was dealing with Lisa's betrayal with the same emotional fortitude as I was dealing with armed enemies who tried to harm me in battle. Fortunately, Judy was by my side during those difficult times. Her energy and honesty were refreshing, and our physical connection was undeniable. But I couldn't get rid of the feeling that maybe I was in too much of a hurry after breaking up with Lisa. As I drove to Camp Rollins, I couldn't help but wonder what choice I had made. The narrow 2-lane road was free of traffic, which allowed me to pick up speed. When I arrived at the gate with a small security booth, I stopped. An armed man in a camouflage uniform came up to my window. "I've come to see John Sykes," I said. "My name is Roberts. Alan Roberts." Following his instructions, I handed over John's card and my driver's license. "Just a minute, sir," the guard replied. After inspecting my truck, he returned to the hut where I saw him talking to someone on a field phone. After a while, he returned to my truck and returned my license and business card. "Commandant Sykes is waiting for you. Welcome to Camp Rollins, Alan Roberts," he said. I started to express my gratitude, but he had already moved away to open the gate. As I drove by, he waved at me, and I waved back. After driving a few more turns, I drove up to a traditional military camp. Wooden structures were neatly arranged around a central area where soldiers marched and trained. The campgrounds were spotlessly clean and well-maintained. When I arrived at the camp headquarters, I parked the car in front of the building. Upon entering, I met a smiling blonde who greeted me. "You must be Sergeant Roberts," she said. "Yes," I replied. "Welcome to Camp Rollins," she said. "Commandant Sykes is already waiting for you. Would you like a cup of coffee?" "Yes, please," I replied. "It sounds fantastic," I replied. "Americano, if you don't mind." "Of course," she said with a smile. "Please come in." I knocked on the door, and while he was on the phone, he invited me in. I couldn't help but notice his khaki uniform shirt decorated with silver oak leaves, which indicated his rank in the army. He quickly ended the conversation and stood up to greet me. "I'm glad you could come, Alan," he said warmly. "Please have a seat." When I was settled in my seat, the secretary kindly brought me coffee. After expressing my gratitude, I took a sip and found that it was exactly what I needed. "I hope you didn't have any problems finding your way here?" he asked. "Not at all. Your instructions were accurate," I replied. "All right," he nodded. "But before we dive into the work, let me shed some light on the people who come to us for help. Every person who enters these doors has been wronged, betrayed by a partner, and often subjected to various forms of cruelty. Abuse can take many forms, and physical cruelty cannot be avoided. Almost every man who seeks help has experienced emotional abuse. Some have experienced both physical and emotional abuse, as well as additional trauma from cuckold and humiliation. I understand that," he added. "In addition, such men are often called weak. I know that now we are being urged to use other formulations, but I think it is important to have frank conversations," he explained. "Most of the men who come here for support lack both physical and emotional strength. Some of them are also scared and feel that they have no one else to turn to for help. Unfortunately, the women they seek solace from end up exploiting them." I was shocked by his words and asked, "What do you do in such situations?" John replied, "First of all, we help them focus and strengthen their physical strength. We restrict their use of the internet and electronic devices such as mobile phones, laptops, and tablets. During their 3-month stay here, they don't have access to the internet. Facebook means that you won't be able to send emails, scroll through Facebook, or watch videos on YouTube. I chuckled at the thought. "I'm sure they'll like it," I grumbled. He giggled in response. "Some of these guys spent their days on their phones before coming here, completely disconnected from the real world. We deprive them of this distraction by forcing them to face problems face to face. But how will they keep in touch with their families?" "This is the right question," he continued. "We provide them with the address of the mailbox to send home. All communication is carried out via regular mail. There are post offices in Bonners Ferry and Clark Fork, and mail is delivered twice a week." I noticed. "It's a long way to get to the post office." John nodded in agreement. "We don't want the spouses to send people to create problems," he explained. "We have armed guards, helicopters, and an electronic security perimeter surrounding the camp. If someone tries to violate it, they will inform us," I was informed. Curious, I asked, "Has anyone tried to break into the camp?" John replied, "There were attempts, but we were able to prevent the threat. The information about this incident is in a package that I will send to your home." Thinking about the term neutralize, I couldn't help but wonder what exactly he meant. "Can you provide more information about the training program?" I asked. "I can give you a brief description," John replied. "All the details are contained in a package that I will give you at home." The first month is especially difficult for students. They must adapt to life without modern electronics and the internet, as well as undergo intensive physical training similar to that of new recruits. Their day starts at 5 in the morning with a curtsy. They have to move quickly wherever they go, and the instructors are pretty strict, if you know what I mean. In the second month, John introduces students to their counselors. They undergo intensive counseling to solve their problems. In parallel, physical training and self-defense classes are continuing. In the third month, all previous topics are repeated, and students are introduced to lawyers to help resolve all legal issues. John checked the time on his watch before mentioning that a group class was in progress. "Of course," I replied. After leaving his office, we headed to another building. When we entered, he motioned for me to come forward. Once inside, I saw a group of men sitting in a semicircle in front of a female consultant. The instructor standing at the door paused when John entered, then nodded at me, then returned to his seat. In silence, we took our places at the back of the room and watched. One of the students told a story about how his wife forced him to serve her lovers through intimate services. Tears were streaming down his face, and the students next to him comforted him, gently patting his shoulder and encouraging him. My gaze shifted to the teacher, a stern figure with sergeant's chevrons adorning his collar, who sat motionless, watching the emotional scene unfolding in front of him. I could feel his anger boiling when the student was crying. While the counselor was studying with the student, I silently vowed to become a part of this organization. I was determined to do everything I could to help those in need. John greeted me inside, and soon we were driving through the camp, where he took me all over the area to show me everything they have to offer. Our next stop was the instructor's hut, where they gathered to keep up to date with current events. Inside, I noticed several men in khaki shirts, some of whom were decorated with sergeant's chevrons, and others with the insignia of a staff sergeant, the same as on John's clothes. John gathered them in the central part of the hut and introduced me to the group. We talked for a while, during which I found out that about half of them are former Marine Corps drill instructors. Half of the group are former Army sergeants, and from our conversation, I realized that this is a close-knit community that sincerely cares about the well-being of its students. "Would you like to join our team?" one of them asked me. I looked at John and replied, "Actually, yes." John grinned and announced, "I asked Alan to become our new senior instructor. He is currently on terminal leave, so it will be some time before he starts working here full-time." While I was getting to know everyone, he suggested that I spend some time here. The rest of the group agreed and nodded approvingly. "Welcome aboard, Alan," one of them said, holding out his hand for a handshake. The others also greeted me warmly. "Thank you," I replied. Later, John and I returned to his office. discussing the work and news of the camp. "Well, are you in business?" John asked. I nodded, confirming my readiness. "Yes, John, I'm in," I replied. His smile was warm as he shook my hand, welcoming me on board. "If you don't mind, why did you decide to join us?" he asked. I talked about how I was inspired by one of the people I heard at the consultations and realized that such situations are not just stories from the internet. "It's much more common than people think," John agreed. Grinning, he handed me a piece of paper with an official offer. I was shocked when I saw the salary and benefits package that the company offered, far exceeding my current income. Without hesitation, I accepted the offer. "Okay," John said, handing me a stack of folders. "A little light reading for the next few weeks." I chuckled. "Feel free to come whenever you want. You don't want to miss the team celebration party." "What kind of holiday?" I asked. "It's our tradition at the end of every lesson," he said. "I think you'll be pleased." Waving goodbye, I packed up my folders and headed home. The next 3 weeks passed quickly. Lisa quickly and without arguments signed the divorce papers, after which my lawyer called me and informed me that my divorce would be finalized in a month. Judy, on the other hand, started divorce proceedings with Elroy, but due to the fact that the documents were filed in her home state of Washington, her divorce process will be longer and will take at least 90 days. After I filed for divorce, Lisa's parents came to get her things, and I never heard from her again. I handed over the cashier's check for her share of the bank accounts and all our photos. I didn't want there to be any reminders of her in the house. Her mother mentioned that Lisa was embarrassed to meet me face to face, which didn't come as a shock to me. On the other hand, Judy spent the last 3 weekends with me, and we had a great time together. I took Judy fishing on Pendle Rail Lake, and she had a great time. Despite the fact that Judy did not like this activity, she gladly agreed, even taking responsibility for cleaning and cooking the salmon we caught. I visited the camp regularly to chat with the instructors, all of whom were combat veterans and divorced. Some even started new relationships. I also attended several group consultations to understand why the students decided to go to the camp. Their stories touched me very much, and I understood why the camp is carefully guarded. I found out that one of the students had run away from an organization known as MA, abandoning his wife and taking refuge in a camp. The organization tirelessly tried to bring him back, even going so far as to attempt an armed invasion of the camp. Fortunately, the vigilant guards of the camp and an unknown federal agency thwarted their plans. In response, the company introduced new protocols, according to which any mention of MMAS by a potential student should have led to immediate contact with the agency. As far as I could tell, the agency had been contacted twice in the last year. At the end of the month, John asked me to attend the final ceremony marking the end of the 3-month course. I put on my uniform and hit the road. The ceremony took place at night, and John and I stood in the distance, watching the ritual of burning wands unfold in front of us. During the lesson, students attached photos of their spouses to a straw figurine, which was then lifted and tied with a rope to a post. There was an armful of firewood at the foot of the pillar. One of the students was called forward and given a lighted torch. "Burn the bow," the teacher ordered. "Sir, burn the bow." "Yes, sir," the student replied. He set fire to the firewood, and soon the flames engulfed the straw figure. The students began to chant in unison. Flames engulfed the figure, causing the students to fly into a frenzied rage. They raised their fists in the air, howling and chanting, and their energy increased as the figure collapsed to the ground. Some of the students, continuing to dance and chant, even urinated on the burning figure. This bizarre ritual continued until only ashes remained of the figure. Curious about the purpose of this disturbing sight, I turned to John for an answer. "What is all this for?" I asked. John calmly explained that this ceremony is a way for men to feel a sense of completion. Tomorrow they will complete this program, finding a way to get rid of the torment they once faced without resorting to violence against their spouse. In just 3 months, they've gone from weak cuckolds to steadfast men. It's an amazing transition. I got into their journey and even imagined my own tormentor being burned by flames. The thought brought a smile to my face. John asked how things were going at home. "I'm glad to hear that," he replied. "The divorce will be finalized soon." "How are you dealing with all this?" he asked. I nodded back. "Actually, everything is fine, even better than I expected." "That's good to hear," he said. "As I understand it, your vacation will end soon." "Yes, 3 more days," I confirmed. "Great," he replied. "Get ready to meet our new students in 4 days. You'll also need this," he said, reaching into his pocket and handing me a small box. Inside, I found a set of shiny metal chevrons. "Sergeant Major?" I asked. "Yes," he confirmed. "This means that you have become a senior instructor. Congratulations." "Thank you," I replied. He grinned and corrected me. "No thanks." I spent the next 4 days with Judy. Elroy made an offer to buy out her half of the house, which she accepted. It turned out that he was planning for Lisa to move in with him, and Judy really wanted to leave. I asked her to stay with me, and she agreed without hesitation. I ordered a trailer, moved her stuff out of their old house, and put her up at my place. It was a little cramped at first, but I was sure that we would succeed. On the first day, Judy watched me prepare, and then treated me to a sumptuous breakfast befitting a king. When I was about to leave, she handed me a thermos of coffee and kissed me. "Follow your dream," she said with a smile. I wasn't sure if Judy and I would succeed, but I was willing to take the risk. She has already brought a sense of satisfaction that I have lacked since Lisa's time. I arrived at the campsite and headed to the front desk. After a quick glance at myself in the mirror, I adjusted my hiking backpack and hit the road. As I stepped out onto the porch, I looked at the group of men on the path below. My heart sank, and I gasped, "Oh my God." I looked around at the small group of men standing in the parking lot and couldn't help but wonder how they expected me to make soldiers out of them if they hadn't even sent me proper recruits to begin with. "Get this pathetic bunch out of my sight and start processing them before I lose my temper," I demanded. "Yes, Sergeant," the man replied and led the group to the processing. When they were out of sight, I turned around and saw John. A wide grin spread across his face, and he exclaimed, "Great job! Welcome to Camp Rollins." A year later, Gigi and I lived happily together. The children often visited us, and we were a happy family. Lisa wasn't doing as well as we were. She was left without a job. No school hired her because of the shameful affair. Our common children disowned her and cut off any ties. She's lonely and unhappy while I'm enjoying life.